Hello, hello. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody, and so much for the president's bracket. Lead story today at Smerconish.com is from the Daily Princetonian. There's a lot of news in the world, but the lead story today is from the Daily Princetonian because I loved the headline, David 59, Goliath 55. There's always one. And you know, if it wasn't in the initial round, maybe it was the second round, but I think it was the initial round. On my birthday, I remember, it's probably been a decade, when it was Lehigh defeating Duke. But now it's Princeton and Arizona, and the president, like a lot of others. You wonder why the odds of having a perfect bracket are 1 in a gazillion? It's because of Princeton winning last night. How exciting. It's a great time of year. And, of course, in the palm of my hand, I've got everything I need to have a little skin in the game. The BetParx Sportsbook app has you covered all tournament long with live in-game betting, parlays, and more. 16 games today. Is any work going to get done in the United States? 16 games today starting at 12:15 p.m. this afternoon Eastern Time, going until the final game tonight at 10:05. Pitt, a 4-point against Iowa State underdog. Here are some of today's games. You've got Michigan State, a 1.5-point favorite against USC. Baylor and UC Santa Barbara. UConn, Iona, Miami, and Drake. Make a BetParx futures bet on what team will win it all. The current BetParx odds, Houston 4.5 to 1, Bama 5 to 1, Kansas 12 to 1. All new users bet $10 and get $125 in sportsbook bonus. Wow, if your first bet wins. BetParx.com has the terms and conditions, new users and winning bets only. Sport bonus has got to be wagered once. See the website for details. And, of course, you've got to be 21 in Pennsylvania or New Jersey or Ohio. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. Have fun. Time now for the headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. So this week, ladies and gentlemen, I dazzled 31,000 plus people on Instagram who watched me order a pizza. I did not have such good luck at TikTok, but, you know, I'm on all of the platforms. I'm on all of the platforms. The only thing as I look at TikTok this week that seems to have sparked interest was a commentary that I delivered on Ukraine. And it was a commentary that I delivered in Ukraine saying that Admiral Stavridis told me, and I thought it made sense, that you need 2 clocks chiming in unison for there to be a negotiated peace in Ukraine. Putin has to be feeling pressure, and also there has to be concern in the United States that this escalating divide within the GOP, which will grow larger as the presidential race heads down the track, the moon and the stars, because of Putin feeling pressure and worry here that Republicans aren't going to continue to write the check, maybe brings about a negotiated peace. So anyway, that worked for me on TikTok. I'm having better luck, TC, it seems, on Instagram, although there have been some things on TikTok that have worked.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm on your TikTok now, and there are definitely some things that have worked. Like I'm
what?
looking at, you talked about like Biden's address, like how he's addressing the nation on the banking crisis. Over 6,000 people watched that. Last Friday, right around, this time, TGIF traditions, over 1,000 people watched you throw the trash away. Hysterical.
Well, it was my Alec Murdoch chart. I mean, I have had one of those giant Post-it notes from Staples that I love. And yes, people, I guess, wanted to see me heave that in a dumpster.
And also, don't forget, last weekend, your Stormy Daniels TikTok, and that was also on Twitter, went viral, and over 27,000 people watched that. So you are getting some hits on. Oh, and the John Morant at the strip club, over 3,000 people watched that.
How could you
not?
Oh
my goodness. Okay,
how could you not?
The I'm for Lilibet Free Harry, over 18,000.
I am Free Harry. Well, I bring it up because the poll question today at Smerconish.com asks, should TikTok be banned in the United States? And when I did my early morning read-in today, the Washington Post lead item, and I'll get to China and Russia now having a meeting. This was before that story broke. The big story at the Washington Post today, leading the website, governments around the world have moved to ban or restrict TikTok amid security concerns. The lead says this: the United States is pushing the Chinese owners of the social video app TikTok to divest from the company, citing national security concerns. If it doesn't agree, it could face a ban in the United States. It's the latest government action against the app, which is owned by the Beijing company ByteDance, as well as other companies, including some non-Chinese. In the past few months, numerous countries have put restrictions on TikTok, fearing that it could be used to gain access to their citizens' data or to spread pro-Beijing propaganda. So, for example, India. TikTok was initially banned in India in 2020. The ban became permanent in January of 2021. The move came after 20 Indian soldiers were killed in a border clash with Chinese troops in the Himalayas, and tensions then peaked. Canada banned TikTok across government-issued phones last month, shortly after the U.S. announcement. Taiwan banned TikTok on government devices in December. It's now mulling a nationwide ban amid rising tensions with Beijing. The European Union, the European Parliament, the European Commission have all imposed bans on TikTok on staff devices. Again, we're talking now as to whether TikTok, the intent of the poll question, should TikTok be banned in total in the United States. Britain. The British government announced a ban on TikTok on government devices in March. Australia, they've enacted similar bans. Indonesia, Pakistan. Here was my favorite, Afghanistan. The Taliban announced, you remember the conversation that we had yesterday, and I told you about that lawsuit filed by the county in which I was born and raised, Bucks County, Pennsylvania, against the social media platforms because of the impact on the mental health of our children? Remember that conversation? Well, Afghanistan, the Taliban have announced they've banned TikTok to, quote, prevent the younger generation from being misled. I don't know. Maybe the Taliban is on to something, notwithstanding my dumpster fire TikTok videos.
No. Don't go there.
So I was eager to have this as the poll question today. And last night, Rich Tao, our friend from Engageus, Rich Tao, who does the focus groups with swing voters, he brought to my attention, and Axios has this coverage today, and it's posted at Smerconish.com. He brought to my attention that he had just done a Wisconsin swing group and swing voter group. He was not with swingers. He was with swing voters. And they don't like the idea of a ban. I thought this was really interesting. They don't want the government, they don't want our government determining what should be on their devices. Some Wisconsin swing voters don't like their TikTok time being regarded as a national security risk. They dismiss bipartisan concerns and regulation coming out of D.C., according to the latest Engageus look at this issue. Of course, some people are more troubled by Congress having the power to decide what's downloaded on their phone. That's the issue for the swing voters. And I just thought it was really remarkable. For example, Evan B., quote, I fail to see how goofy satire and booty videos are a national security threat, because that's about 80% of what I end up coming across on TikTok. Okay, I get it, and I similarly could say that on a Friday, when I ceremoniously throw out the trash in an alley behind the studio and TC films as I throw it into a dumpster, like, where's the national security issue? But I think the national security issue is not that you watch me throw trash in a dumpster. It's the fact that I'm on this network, you're on this network, and everybody's got our data. I mean, that to me is the issue. Anyway, poll question today at Smerconish.com asks whether TikTok ought to be banned in the United States. And the reference that I made to that lawsuit that I'm so interested in, the Bucks County versus Silicon Valley lawsuit, the actual complaint is posted at Smerconish.com. I didn't have the room to do it yesterday, but I thought it was very well written, very well thought out, and notated, and I hope maybe this weekend you'll take the time to read it. It's long. It's 120 pages, but the first paragraph, if I can just read this, kind of sums up everything you need to know. American adolescence is undergoing a dramatic change. Today, a staggering number of our nation's children suffer from mental and behavioral health disorders. In 2019, 13% of adolescents reported having a major depressive episode. That is a 60% increase from 2007. The quantum change in some cases has been fueled in part by a profound technological transformation deliberately designed by some of the country's most profitable social media giants in ways that exploit for profit the vulnerabilities of children's brains and development. So, read the complaint if you're interested in this subject, and I think we all should, not just parents. Poll results from yesterday, 21,263. Were we closer to World War III during the Cuban Missile Crisis or now? We had great callers on this yesterday. Thank you for the callers, because the callers were many seniors with recollection of what it was like to be under a desk during the Cuban Missile Crisis, and a lot of others with just intel experience, many of whom, by the way, talked about the Yom Kippur War in 73 and said that was actually the brink point where we were closest to nuclear Armageddon. In any event, 71% of those who voted yesterday said it's the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's not what's going on in the world now. Although today's news, breaking as I come on air, Chinese President Xi Jinping will visit Russia from Monday to Wednesday. An apparent show of support for Russian President Vladimir Putin amid sharpening East-West tensions over the war in Ukraine, the latest sign of Beijing's emboldened diplomatic ambitions. Russia's ongoing invasion of Ukraine expected to dominate their conversations. China has refused to condemn Moscow's aggression and sought to project itself as neutral in the conflict, even while Beijing declared last year that it had a no-limits friendship with Russia. So, that situation has just been ratcheted up. Now, the news comes on a day, actually last night was when I first saw it, that Ambassador John Bolton has a provocative piece in the Wall Street Journal, which is in Smerconish.com. Please read it. And he essentially says, we are forcing the Ukrainians to have a hand tied behind their back. Why don't we let them win it? Quote, Moscow's successful intimidation highlights Washington's failure to state clear war objectives and forge a strategy to achieve them. Mr. Biden wants Russia to lose, but seems afraid of Ukraine actually winning. If he believes America's official position restoring Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, he should reaffirm it and craft a plan to do so. If not, he should say so. We can then at least have an intelligible debate. I made the point a couple of weeks ago here that it seems like we give Ukraine enough to keep the Russian bear at bay, but not enough to just go all in and allow them to win. And I know many of you who hear me say, hey, you're on the march to war. I hope that I'm not. But it does seem as if we've been incremental in that which I did a commentary on this on CNN a couple of weeks ago, how incrementally, like we say no initially, and then over time we give them more and we give them more and we give them more. Should we have given them everything at the get-go? I mean, this thing does seem to be ratcheting up, and at a time of the banking issue at home and the political divisiveness at home, I'm worried about it. I'm worried about all of it. So yesterday's poll question, a decisive result. We're not where we were at the time of the Cuban Missile Crisis. Today's poll question asks, should TikTok be banned in the United States? More headlines from Smerconish.com, the newsletter. Actually, this is not a headline from Smerconish.com, the newsletter, because nothing was printed in time for me to include it. But truth be told, I am at 98% capacity today. 98%.
Hey, 98's not bad.
Well, 98 from me. 98 from me,
Yeah.
TC, is that's 120 of a lesser man.
If you do say so yourself.
Yeah, of a lesser man.
I must say, waking up and getting emails from you that came in post-midnight was a little alarming to me. That was very alarming. I'm waking up and thinking, oh, God, what did he do? And then I looked at your Instagram and knew what you did. So there you go.
So I sent you a note in the midnight hour,
Yes,
and I said, first thing in the morning, because I thought what I would do is like map out everything. I was totally read in as of the stroke of 12.
And wired.
And wired. I was totally wired. And by the way, I'm burying the lead. Ladies and gentlemen,
where were you?
Last night I went to see The Boss. It was probably about the fifth time, and let's be fair, maybe the last time that I will get to see Bruce Springsteen live. And yes,
why the last time?
I don't know, because we're both getting older. But I don't know how. I got to say this. This is the reason I really want to talk about this today. And, I feel like I'm in homeroom, and I saw the show last night, and the only thing I'm lacking is my T-shirt. Bruce Springsteen.
Whoa. You didn't buy a T-shirt?
No, I didn't. But I mean,
you did buy a T-shirt.
No, I didn't. But back in the day, I'd have grabbed the merch and worn it. You're right, TC. Even in my adulthood, I still do that. Wait, I want to say this. The boss is 73 years old. He's a beast. He is a phenom. If you get the chance to see this tour, you must go, and you must talk yourself out of the voice in my head that I heard last night on the way out the door, which said, why are you doing this? I mean, how many shows can you go to? You're too old for this. Stay home, go to bed at 9:30 as you normally do, get up at 4:30 as you normally do, and go to work like a man. But no, I went to see the show last night, and Springsteen, Bruce Springsteen, the length of his performances is legendary. He's now 73. Okay? The longest show that he's ever done on American soil was 4 hours and 4 minutes in Philadelphia. Philadelphia broke Bruce Springsteen. Not New York, not New Jersey, Philadelphia. And here's an amazing thing. TC, this is an amazing thing, and there ought to be a placard.
I'm listening.
Okay, there ought to be a placard to what I'm now going to tell you and everybody else.
Go ahead.
In between, my house and your house used to be the Main Point. The Main Point was a coffee house that existed in the 70s, and acts would come and perform, and in a 2-month time period, close in time to the release of one of Bruce's first albums, he performed there 40-some nights in 2 months. Ed Shockey, who was a legendary Philadelphia DJ, and I knew Ed Shockey, he's gone now, but I used to see him at shows, allowed Bruce to sleep on his sofa, something that Bruce acknowledges. I think David Dye gets credit for this as well. Billy Joel also performed at the Main Point. You and I drive by. It's now, I think, a furniture store. You and I drive by every day what used to be the Main Point. There ought to be a historical marker out there noting that really was the birth of Bruce Springsteen. So there's always been this special relationship between the boss and the city of Philadelphia. And I went last night with one of my sons. And, okay, the arena's not the same, but it's in the same place. But, I mean, I remember sitting in that spot, for the Born in the USA tour in the 80s. So it was nice to be able to share that cool. with a son or a daughter. And what I wanted to tell you is that Springsteen came out. He was probably on stage for a total last night of 2 hours and 45 minutes. He never stopped. It was such a tight, choreographed show. And I mean, he would finish one number, turn around, new guitar handed to him. I took note of the fact on the Jumbotron that when you take a look at his hands playing the guitar, you can tell these are all vintage guitars. He's played the same guitars his entire life. Little Steven Van Zandt was great. The whole band was great. At a certain point, I want to say that there were 12 musicians on stage. The set list was great, and I'm sorry if I'm getting long-winded, but I posted on Instagram. I of course, took a number of videos, and I don't know why. I'll never watch them after today, but I chose one to post. And the one that I chose to post is the song Rosalita. And I think this, too, is a Philly thing, but I might be wrong. I don't know if he does Rosalita everywhere, but every time I've seen him in Philadelphia, he's done Rosalita, and that song just seems to have such a command of the audience, unlike anything else, and it was great last
I think
night.
It brought the house down. Everybody went crazy. Hey, I have a question about that video. It seemed, this is a rookie question. I don't go to a lot of concerts. It seemed very bright. Like, is it not dark in the house, and then they have a spotlight on the stage?
Right,
I was surprised by how light it was.
All right, I'm not going to give it all away. I'm having trouble with one of my screens here. Just work with me, Dan. I got a lot of screens open.
Right.
I got a lot of screens open.
Screens open.
Okay, so
I
have the set list in front of me. I have the set list in front of me. I'm not going to spoil the whole thing for people who haven't seen the show. And Bruce, he's not like the Dead, and he's not like the Avett Brothers. Hello, Bob Crawford. He does mix up his set lists, but not like the Dead. You go see the Dead back-to-back nights, you're seeing two totally different shows. I don't know if you know that.
Oh, I know.
Okay, so
I know that because I'm a
Bruce
Deadhead.
mixes it up. You pretty much are, TC. I like to see you in tie-dye. So Bruce pretty much mixes it up, but not like he used to. But among the highlights for me last night, as I look at the set list, I would say Kitty's Back in Town was phenomenal. I love Trapped, which is a cover from Jimmy Cliff, but that just gripped me as well. What else did I really like? Okay, so after he does about 20 songs, the encore, they never really leave the stage, but they come out and they take a bow, letting you know we're going into overtime now, okay? Now the house lights came up. I think it was for Thunder Road, and they stay up. And to your point, they stay up. And yeah, everybody, now you see like everybody in the whole arena.
It was unusual. I wasn't sure what was going on. Okay, got it.
And Rosalita, I'll say that Rosalita was a big part of the encore, and so too was 10th Avenue.
I just love when it kicked in and everybody started jumping and dancing.
Oh
and
my God,
crazy.
It was
crazy.
He's 70. Yeah. He's 73 years old, and he
Who
never
could do that?
He never stopped. He never stopped for 3. It would be like doing a Hannah Corbin routine for 3 hours. So
while watching the 5.
So like when you're thinking that you're going to sit down in your seat, and like, oh my God, I got up early today, but like, no, you're looking at a 73-year-old man kicking your ass. You better get on your feet too. If you get the chance, go see the boss.
They were on their feet.
The reason that I wanted to see him last night is that he's got 2 sold-out shows coming up at Citizens Bank Park outdoor. This is the only indoor Philly show, and I wanted to see him one more time in Philly. Final thing I'll tell you, TC, is that Larry Magid, who has been a guest on this show and is the legendary Philadelphia-based promoter. He promoted Live Aid. He's promoted everything that's come through Philadelphia my entire life, and he's a friend of mine. He and Mickey, his wife, and I saw him last night. He had just come from backstage where he was with the boss, and Springsteen had canceled 3 shows in the last week. I'm like, Larry, how is he? He's like, he's in great voice. Everybody's healthy. It's a go. I'm like, okay, we're ready for this. All right, I'm done. What do you got? Give me 2 minutes of something I haven't addressed.
All right, so from Smerconish.com, Stormy Daniels meets with DA as Michael Cohen testifies again in Trump hush money probe. Here's everything we know. This is a Yahoo.com news story that will get you ready to go. It seems that maybe something is going on. Are they heading for an indictment? This is what got so much interest in your TikTok that we started off this segment with. And so that's posted right now. What are your thoughts on that?
Weakest case. Of the 4 buckets, it's the weakest, but it seems like Alvin Bragg is about to bring it.
Asked if Trump incited an insurrection, Pence said, quote, there were many causes. This was an interview that he did with Larry Kudlow on Fox Business Network last night. Thoughts on that?
Find your voice. I'm saying that in a clean way on St. Patrick's Day. Find your voice.
Oh, dear.
Instead of something else. Like, come on. There were many causes. You were within 30 feet of a mob calling for your execution because of that mob being stoked by one man. Say it.
Florida Fight Club, this from the New York Post. Scantily clad spring break revelers let out pent-up rays in boozy beach brawls. Michael, what? Thongs and brawls? Why is this on Smerconish.com, Mr. Headline Writer?
Okay, it's the first spring break full-on since 2019.
Yeah,
it's the
full
first
on being the operative word.
I want to know what the kids are up to.
Oh, okay, got it. Speaking of which, last one, Giselle Bundchen, age 42, spending time with Tom's old friend and Elle Macpherson's ex, Jeffrey Soffer, 55, a billionaire developer who lives a stone's throw from the supermodel's new Miami home. Does she have a new man? What does this mean for Tom? What are your thoughts, Michael?
Prediction.
Can we post another picture of her in a bikini?
Please keep them coming. I need clicks at Smerconish.com. if she's really having a relationship with Jeffrey Sofer, then I think the odds are increased that he comes back out of retirement. That's my prediction. If the relationship is real, Brady could be back on the gridiron. TC After Dark this weekend, that's when I will be listening. What will I be listening to?
I can't wait for you to hear it. This is Jefferson Fisher. You can follow him at Jefferson_Fisher on Instagram. He teaches you how to argue. Michael, you and I are at opposite ends of the spectrum. You're very good at it. I'm not good at it. And it brings us both together. It will tone you down. It will bring me up, and it will make us be able to communicate better. My hand to God, this guy's amazing.
Okay, TC After Dark, please, tomorrow morning, 7:30 YouTube Live, 9 a.m. Philly time, and hopefully a replay at 3 p.m. on CNN. Go vote at Smerconish.com. Thank you for listening all week long. Thank you for watching, those who do on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel.